Number 1, discussion and possible action to accept and or reject the SLAC recommendations for library book procurement.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, Dr. Cardona. Your next 2 items of action are related to library books. First, you'll be deciding whether or not to accept the recommendation from the School Library Advisory Committee that you approve the procurement of 729 new library books across all campuses. These books were chosen by our school librarians in accordance with the American Association of School Librarian Standards and the Texas State Library and Archives Commission's Collection Development Standards. Per Senate Bill 13, all titles proposed for procurement must be posted for 30 days. Prior to your vote, these titles were posted as early as October 28th, and we have received no public comment.
Questions, Mr. McLaughlin?
Question and a complaint. I really hate this process. I know the state did this to us, but I can't possibly read 729 books, and I'm supposed to somehow say that, yeah, let's bring them in. So I have questions about the process. They recommended we approve 729 out of how many?
That was all of them. That was the entire.
That doesn't feel robust. This is like the blind security guard meme. I mean, how are 729 something we want?
Those are the books that came from the campus level up.
So each
These are the books that our
librarian,
people want to bring.
traditionally librarians just kind of ordered throughout the year, but now you have to approve their orders. So we said, librarians, give us all the books you want to order in the fall, and it came to a total of 729 across all of our campuses. And so now it went through SLAC, who said, we recommend that you approve these for purchase.
But they just rubber stamped it. Not a single book caught anyone's attention.
Not in the discussion in the meeting.
Or the vote, right?
Or the vote. There was not a lot of discussion on the procurement items.
Mr. McLaughlin? Mr. Arredondo.
So I guess understanding that this came from like the campus level librarians, does like a list exist out the gate, or is it like, I want these 15 books, 15 turns to 709, and then it like travels up? Does that make sense?
Yes.
Like, is it like a 0 book list, or does it start like boilerplate? This is what an elementary school would order in 2025, and here's like 150 books. I guess, how did we get to the 709?
Right. That is, if you let me go back to the procurement. So there is a whole process where they, librarians have sort of the standards that they can look at to see if a book meets the needs of a campus. There's several criteria, and they have to meet 2 of the 5. I can share this with you later. It's on page 2 of our collection development policy that you approved last month. And so librarians have guidance from our Texas, there's 2 organizations, from our American Association of School Librarians and the Texas State Library and Archives Commission. Mm-hmm. So there's some guidelines there. And then there's these 5 criteria if they want to get a book, and the book has to meet at least 2. Again, I can reshare that list with you. So each librarian goes through this process to propose books. They did come together as a group and talk about books that they wanted to procure. Some books, for example, one elementary may have already had the book, and a school's like, yeah, we don't have that on our shelves, we want it. So that's kind of how the list came together.
Cool. And so I guess that was my question, is like, if a librarian wanted an individual book, it could be added to this list, and then it went through this process to get to where we are today. It's not just like back in the day, you could like buy a package of like school supplies, right? That was already like pre-baked
and
before
they do
school
have
started.
Publishers who contact and say, here, we have these books, and you can have a bundle, or there's individuals. And like I said, in the past, they would just on their own kind of, not completely on their own, they have their standards, but they would just order directly through their campus. And so now since you have to approve every book be purchased, we said we're going to do this twice a year, once in the fall and once in the spring. Combine your list, and then that's what went to the SLAC.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Mr. McCaulson, you're looking very skeptical, but I have to say that I think that as somebody who is a parent and a lover and a reader of many books, that as a school board member, it is not my job to write curriculum, and it is not my job to teach the curriculum and to students who are not my own children. And I don't think that it's my job to read 729 books to determine whether or not they belong in the libraries. I think my job is to appoint the person to the committee that the state requires and to trust in the librarians as professionals that they are and the administrators who are well aware of the scrutiny and all of the questions that have come to us, and then to take their recommendation.
Well, but yet I am asked to vote on these, and I didn't ask for it. It's part of the legislation. And so then this has generated a lot of discussion and conversation, and I've consistently told anyone that asks me that we're creating a robust process where we'll review these things, and then it'll come to me as a recommendation. And my intent was just to rely on that recommendation, but that's because I thought it was a robust process. And instead, it's just like a rubber stamp. It's 729 out of 729. So how's that robust?
So how would you suggest we make it more robust? Because that is something that this body can discuss and make
this is
policy
our first
around.
time through.
Right. We would have to.
And so, so the part of the process is posting and allowing for public comment. We didn't get any, you can debate why that is, if people, but that is part of the required process, is to seek that public comment. And then for the committee, they received a list of the books in advance and links to different resources that they could research. But outside of policing how they spent their time, if they read every single book, we didn't do that. But we did try to provide them background information and time to do their research.
I don't even know if they could, because today I tried to read, let me see what I can find. And because I saw the list, and I could find excerpts, I could find criticism, I could find a Reddit, but I couldn't just find the 100-page book to work through. So I don't think the committee had any different access than me, right? So I don't know. I don't know seems like we would have them broken up or something, and then there would be some sort of review.
Mr. Arenado.
Thank you, President Halsey. So explain to me, we approve this tonight. If it gets approved tonight, what does the process look like after this as far as these books becoming available for a student at Hernandez or Mendez to check them out? Like tomorrow, or
they'll do their purchase order. It'll go through finance approvals, order process, delivery.
So it'd be like early spring, maybe mid-spring, that these things would be available and on shelves?
I think early spring.
Okay. And then you said leading up to this, there was an opportunity for like folks from Llano to weigh in on the books in our library tonight.
Our community can provide feedback. There's it has to be posted at least 30 days for public comment. We didn't receive any.
Thank you.
I have to say that I think that we are adhering to not only the letter of the law, but the spirit of the law the best that we can. In order to, we have to have books in the library. We can't let this process shut down our libraries and not allow students to have any access to books or to new books, or have teachers have access to new books. And one would certainly hope that that isn't the intent behind the law. So if that's not the intent, then if we are also required to have parents be the people who comprise the SLC, it seemed very specific about who could and couldn't be on that committee. And so those people are volunteers. We can't reasonably ask them to come in once a week and sit in the library and read books from end to end in order to make sure that we are continuing to have a supply of books. So I feel like certainly it could be better, but I think that this is realistic for what we can do.
Ms. Halsey, I can agree with you. I think that at one point you have to trust the professional librarian who has been ordering books and putting books on the shelves for years. And now we're being so cautious because of this SB 13. And I think it makes everybody stop and think, did they read that whole book? Do they know what's in there? But librarians have all kinds of ways of getting information on the books. And whether they're questionable, I doubt that they'd be recommending them, considering what's going on with SB 13. So I'm going to support whatever our librarians are going to recommend.
I think the parade of horribles, I mean, I don't want any of those things. I don't want no books in the library, an empty library. I don't want my appointed person on the Slack to read 729 books for however long that would take. 3 months. I just, at the same time, the 729, the 720, I mean, there's gotta be one that's just garbage in there. You know, it's just, and I don't believe, I mean, yeah, of course I trust librarians, but there's also captured organizations like special interest groups, just like come here to talk to us. There's those on other sides that, you know, recommend a package of books. And I can't tell you that anybody's read all 729 of these. I just don't understand in the system, wherever it might lay, where the check is to make sure. I don't, you know, I'm not necessarily worried about the excerpts being read to us, but that it's even worth reading, you know, worth reading for that grade. A lot of the things I pick up that my kids read, especially excerpts on test or something, are just awful, like terrible prose, hardly readable, probably creating poor writers from reading such bad writing. So, I mean, I don't know. This is our first time through. Just expressing my displeasure in this process.
I mean, I would guess that the librarians' individual lists before were larger and that this is a narrowed down list from their original list.
I will
It's
say
just,
our ILSs are pretty hesitant now. All books that they put on the list, they really, in light of SB 13 and the pressure, I think they were more guarded than ever.
yeah, I mean, they were threatened this evening with being arrested. So Mr. Arnado.
Thank you, President Halsey. Is there any ILS or librarian in here who can like explain the process?
Nicole, come on up, Nicole.
Come to the
Dana.
splash zone with us.
Dana Linebarger.
Yeah.
You want to know how they?
Yeah, like the 729.
I will say what this process has done is stop, and like it's more prevalent at the high school where vendors were just sending books. And so I think this process has in a sense stopped publishers from dumping stuff that we don't know anything. So there is some standards of, and Dana will talk you through with Nicole because they've lived it.
Yes, a couple of the things that are on the list are books that are sequels that are already, kids really like these books, so a bunch of books have come out by the same author. So a lot of those books are those. No book is on there that's already included in the collection somewhere. So if Hernandez has this title, it doesn't have to go through the process because it can be at any elementary school. So those are all books that are exclusively new additions to the collection. Most of the books on there are elementary level books. So they most likely will not contain that controversial content. I know both middle schools and our high school, they use a subscription service from the Junior Library Guild. So they get their titles at certain times during the year. Then they added those onto the list. Also, some of these are like from the summer that librarians never got to order. Then all of a sudden, where September 1st hits and we haven't gotten the books yet. So that's part of the reason why this particular first list is so very long. You have anything to add?
I think the only thing I would add is this is my first year as an ILS. I picked a heck of a year to start. I think being new, I tried to pick titles that were already in other campuses to add to our library. But uniquely at Mendez, we do have a huge dual language population. There's a lot of books available to our monolingual English speakers that are not available to our Spanish speakers. And I'm trying to alleviate that gap and add as many Spanish titles as I can. And so those do have to go on the list if they don't exist.
So I did one more. So just to understand this process better, so even if the book exists in language, in English, it still needs to be approved by us to be in Spanish. Okay. What a mess. Okay, thank you.
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the list as presented to us.
Motion.
Motion made by Ms. Kane, seconded by Ms. Cantu. Any other questions? All in favor, please raise your hand. I can't see your hand. Mr. McLaughlin, is it raised? You're abstaining, sorry, okay. 6 all opposed and 1 abstention. I'm not meaning to call you out, but we do now have to record votes, just as a reminder. Okay. The next item is discussion and possible action to accept or reject the SLAC recommendations for library book challenges.
All right, so this item pertains to 32 books we received formal challenges on. All but 2 were challenged on October 17th, the others on November 6th. All challenges originated from one community member. These titles were immediately pulled from shelves per SB 13, and on November 18th, they were taken to the SLAC, of which you each appointed a member. You have the SLAC recommendations on page 93 of your board book. If you choose to retain any challenged books, they will be returned to library shelves, and they may not be challenged again for 2 years. If you choose to remove any books, they'll be disposed of following district policy.
Is there a motion? Mr. Redondo.
Ms. Halsey, I move that the board accept the recommendations of the SLAC committee as presented in our board book on page 93.
Motion made by Mr. Redondo, seconded by Ms. Kane. Are there any questions?
I have a question.
Mr. McLaughlin.
Did the committee vote one by one on the book by book, or did they take them like a basket like they come to us?
The floor was opened for a motion, and they were told motions might sound like book by book, bundles, or whole. The first motion was to approve all. Then there was a second, there was discussion, and then when they went to vote on that motion.
And so, okay, so there was an individual book by book
A
consideration.
motion was not made to do that.
Okay.
Any other questions? All in favor of the motion, please raise your hand. Ms. King. All opposed? That vote is 6-1. Mr. McLaughlin opposing.